The Lord have weighed this kingdom in the balances, and it is finished. Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Salutations to the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to do a lesson on how this kingdom is done for. And when I say this kingdom, I speak of Babylon, which is the United States of America. All the BS that has been going on in this country, Jake getting laid off for no reason, Jake losing his hours. You're the first one hired, you're the first one's fired, and the last one's hired. They want to take your hours away from you. They want to take a ton of money out of your checks. They want to increase the cost of living, but keep your wages the same. They want to spray chemtrails in the air, such as mercury, arsenic, aluminum, estrogen. Barium. They put all kind of BS in your water, like microcosmic shrimp. Your water, they got lead in your water. They put chlorine in your water. Feces is in your water. Your water is recycled. And then you got to pay a monthly water bill just to keep your water running inside your house. They want to sell you GMO foods in your markets. They want to put spit in certain of your foods, rat shit in chocolate, cow snot in milk, rat hairs in metals and cereal, metals in Similac that you're supposed to, that they expect you to feed your babies. You got people going to all these clinics and pharmacies buying pills because they're all bugged out of their minds. People don't even know what's left from right anymore. They don't even know right from wrong anymore. You got people driving up one-way streets when they know they're not supposed to. The crime rate is going up. A famine is systematically being induced on the country. The dollar is systematically being crashed. The financial system is systematically being crashed. The economy is systematically being crashed. You got all kind of riots and protests around the world. There's all kind of storms, and now this devil is generating his own clouds. And there's no telling what's raining on you. Sometimes when it rains outside, you don't know if it's raining chemtrails or if it's actual rainwater, which has been poisoned from all the pollution and shit coming from the factories. Your streets is emitting fumes that's harmful to your body. Your sidewalks is emitting fumes that's harmful to your body. There's constantly vehicles driving up and down the road on the highways, constantly polluting the air. If our bodies was to breathe fresh air, non-polluted air, we would pass out. And then they're spraying chemtrails in the air. You want to know why your nose is always runny? You want to know why you're coughing? You want to know why you got a weak immune system? It's because of the chemtrails they're spraying in the air. It's because of the food that you're eating. The food you're eating is poison. Rice is made out of plastic. They use meat glue to keep chicken and certain meats together. They'll tell you that certain foods do not have pork on it. Meanwhile, there's a pig on the front of the fucking beef sausages. Too many people's eating fast food restaurants because people's too goddamn lazy to cook. They want a quick meal just so they can get to work. When was the last time anybody's actually had a home cooked meal? Then you got all these demonic holidays. You got human sacrifices going on amongst the Illuminati. You got bohemian groves where men is running butt naked out in these different woods. All your children that come up missing, they're getting put on sex trafficking rings, Pizzagate. You know, women is all out of line, thinking they can usurp authority over the man. And then when you speak out against it, they want to talk about toxic masculinity. And now Jake would rather believe a lie than to accept the truth. And then they're lying in their media. So the Lord hath weighed this kingdom in the balances, and this kingdom is done for. You hear me, you so-called elites? This kingdom is done for, and this kingdom is finished. You got everything out of whack. Isaiah 29:16. So this is going into the story of how Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, he was so proud that the Lord made him put him into a beastly state. Basically, his mind became like that of a beast, and he went out and he dwelt amongst the donkeys and he ate grass because he was proud against the Most High Yahweh and his son Yahushai. Okay. And then here we hear about Nebuchadnezzar's son Belshazzar, who has not humbled his heart, though thou knewest all this, what the Lord did to his father Nebuchadnezzar, right? So Belshazzar was proud. It says, but thou hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and that's what the so-called elites are doing. They are lifting up themselves against the Lord of heaven. You know, okay, now this proud devil, I think his name is Noah, which no Amalekite should have the name of Noah. Okay, Noah is a Hebrew Israelite name. But anyways, this dude, this proud ass devil, said that they don't need the Most High. They can make the Most High angry. If the Lord don't want to give us water, we'll just create water ourselves. Okay. That the body was not made to drink synthetic water. All these damn clouds you're creating, they're just synthetic. The body was created to live off of nature. Everything that Yahweh created through his son Yahushai and the elect, which was natural, you come along and say, no, that can't be right. So here it is, we have natural beef. You go and create synthetic beef. We have natural chicken. You go and create genetically modified chicken. Here it is, we have wheat, and you go and create synthetic wheat. We have natural rice. Rice is supposed to be brown, but what do? You dye it white. Sugar is supposed to be brown, but what do? You dye it white. And then on top of that, you use pork chemicals to dye the sugar white. That's why I don't even eat white sugar. I don't mess with white rice. And then on top of that, the rice is made out of plastic. You know, we got oats that come from natural grains, but here comes the devil. You know, here he comes with his pseudoscience, creating GMO oats. Natural fruit that you're supposed to pluck off of trees from overseas. Oranges, bananas, potatoes, tomatoes. All those are natural fruits. But here come the devil, gene splicing and creating his own synthetic tomatoes. Now you got tomatoes with fish DNA in it. So it can be preserved much longer. He did the exact same thing with apples. You cannot even eat an orange nowadays without it being dry. The last time I ate an orange, that shit was so dry. I literally peeled out the orange and there was barely any juice in it. So you have lifted up you have lifted up yourself against the Lord of heaven. Talking about you so-called elites. But thou hast lifted up thyself against the Lord of heaven, and they have brought the vessels of his house before thee, and thou and thy lords and thy wives and thy concubines have drunk wine in them. And thou hast praised the God of silver and gold, of brass, iron, wood, and stone, which see not, nor hear, nor know. And the God in whose hand thy breath is, and whose are all thy ways, hast thou not glorified. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written on the wall while you was busy partying. And this is the writing that was written: many tekel upharsin. Many tekel upharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Many. God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel. So in other words, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel. Thou art weighed in the balances and found wanting. Right? Because the scriptures tell you this devil can never have enough. Okay, that's Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgressed about wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. This devil always wants something, and he always wants something that is not his. And when the country refuses to give it up willfully, he'll go over there with his planes, he'll bomb them, and then he'll forcibly take their resources. That's how the so-called elites live. So thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Paris. Thy kingdom is divided and given to the hand, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. And the modern day Medes today are the Russians. So guess what, O Babylon, which is the United States of America? Your kingdom is divided. Even now it is divided. Okay? They spoke about that in that one video. When people was out there voting, they said they've never seen people so angry before. You got one people that's for Republicans, you got another people that's for Democrats. You got people who desperately want Trump back in office. You got another people who want a new president in office. This whole kingdom is divided. What did Yahushua say about a kingdom that is divided against itself? Okay, I believe that's Matthew 12 and 26. Let's get that real quick before I go to Google. Let's see what Yahushua had to say about a kingdom that is divided against itself. Let's start at verse 25. Matthew 12 and 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Yeah. Every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation. So your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. The Persians today will be the Iranians. And they have a super passionate hate for Babylon the Great. And the Russians feel the exact same way. They don't like Babylon, which is the United States of America. And every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. So Babylon, which is the United States of America, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes. But guess what? The Russians are not going to be the next ones to rule. The Iranians are not going to be the next ones to rule. The Chinese are not going to be the next ones to rule. We are going to be the next ones to rule. And that's going to start with Yahushua and his elect men, whosoever they may be out there. And I can only hope to be of the elect, because we are prisoners of hope. I'm not saying I'm of the elect. I'm not calling myself a servant of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. But I know the Lord's elect is out there somewhere. And they are either sealed with this knowledge, or they are being sealed with this knowledge. Because this kingdom is heading right down the drain. And I'm not talking about the drain in the sink or the bathtub. I'm talking about down the drain where the toilet is at. Where shit and piss and spit and gunk and all manner of excrements belong. Because that's exactly what this country is. Babylon the Great is shit and piss and spit and scum and gunk and any other nasty thing that I can think of that will go down the drain of a toilet. So this country is going down the toilet drain. And every single one of you Edomites are going to get it. You can't run from your nationality. Okay? The man of sin has been revealed. And that's through the Holy Spirit and through prophecy, which the Holy Spirit reveals prophecies. Matthew 12 and 26. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. Yeah, the word Satan means adversary. Okay? This is not talking about the spiritual demon Satan. Okay? This is talking about the Edomites. They're Satan. The word Satan goes back to the Hebrew word shaitan, which means adversary. The word adversary means your main foe. Your main enemy. Who's the main enemy of the Israelites on the planet? The Edomites. And that will be the self-proclaimed so-called white man, and starting with the so-called elites, trickling down to the rest of their nation, the people. That's Satan right there. That's the adversary. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? His kingdom is not going to stand. Okay? Now, just real quick, right? What does it mean, as I typed up here in the search bar, what does it mean to be weighed in the balance? With a question mark. Now here it says weigh something in the balance. Now check this out. It says to consider the positive and the negative. Who's the positive in the Holy Scriptures? That's the Israelites. The positive will represent the righteous, the upstanding. The Israelites are the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Indians. But that's really starting with the elect, because 2/3 of our people, they're not putting forth an effort to repent and to get right with the Lord. So they're going to be cast away right with the negative. Okay? And the negative will be the Edomites. That's the negative. Okay? The negative will be a representation of the wicked, the unrighteous, the ungodly, the vile, the profane. That's the negative. The Edomites. And the Israelites will be the positive. So weigh something in the balance means to consider the positive and negative implications of something very carefully. So the Lord weighed this kingdom in the balances very carefully. Okay, and he found this country to be undisciplined. It says, especially when making a decision. Okay, we'll have to weigh each applicant, the positive and the negative, in the balance before deciding who to hire. In this case, the ones that's going to be hired are the Israelites. The Lord is going to rehire us to be kings and rulers and priests on this planet. The Lord is going to rehire us. We're going to go back to being kings and high priests and priests until Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. So guess what, Esau Edom? You're fired. The Lord fired you. You're fired. The whole earth needs new management because you're obviously doing a piss poor job of taking care of this planet and the people of this planet, especially the Israelites. Okay, we'll have to weigh each applicant in the balance. In this case, the will will be Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai, because they ultimately decide who gets set up into rulership. In the matter of fact, let's go to Daniel real quick, just to make a quick point. Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. So this is Daniel chapter 4, verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, like it tells you in Daniel's the 5th chapter, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. So the Most High is the one who setteth up kings and rulers, and setteth up over it the basis of men. The phone had to chime in on that one. Okay, so let me see. Okay, and there's another one too. Because unrighteous dealings. I need to remember that. That's Sirach, the 10th chapter. Okay, here we go. Sirach, chapter 10, verse 8. It says, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries. Who's doing the unrighteous dealings? The wicked. Proverbs 29, verse 2. Well, when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. There's all kind of unrighteous dealings being done on the planet. Children, okay, little 5-year-old and 7-year-old boys is being is getting popped in the butt by grown-ass men. They got something called Pedophile Island, Pizzagate. You got women who are getting kidnapped from their husbands and they're becoming sex slaves in these different countries. Okay? When the United States go over to these third world countries and they bomb these different people, they'll literally murder whole families over resources. Okay? The chemtrails in the air, the GMO foods, all that shit. Unrighteous dealings. We could have been had vehicles that ran on water. But no, this devil wanted vehicles that ran on gas because he could make money off the gas. So now we got to deal with vehicles that constantly pollute the air because this devil wants vehicles that run on gas instead of solar energy or water. You know, here it is. They don't chop down thousands of acres of forests and jungles just to set up factories, corporations, nuclear plants. So now you got animals crying and mourning, getting ran over on the roads because they got to relocate. You got zoos where the animals are locked up and they're being made to be looked at as some kind of entertainment. There's a reason why the earth is as big as it is, so the animals can have plenty of room to do their thing. How depressing is it to see a tiger locked behind a glass cage at a zoo? He's just laying there. Tigers need at least 100 yards of land so he can have plenty of space for him and his children. But this devil, he'll go way out into the fucking wilderness and he'll tranquilize one of the animals, and then he'll tie it up and then he'll throw it in the zoo. Same thing with the aquarium. Fishes were not made to be in some small aquarium. You got people who go up to the glass window looking at dolphins. Okay? The reason why the dolphin is going up to the glass window at the aquarium, because he's in mourning. There's a reason why the ocean is vast. So there can be plenty of room for the fishes to swim and dwell at. So everything is in mourning here. This devil done dumped thousands of hundreds of thousands of trash in the ocean. That's how they clear out their landfills. You ever heard of something called a city dump? That's where all the garbage trucks go to basically empty themselves. It's called a landfill. And when the landfill gets too full, they'll take all that trash, they'll put it on a ship, and then they'll set sail somewhere far out into the ocean, and they'll literally dump all that trash in the ocean. And you got all kind of rusted metal from cans going down there. You got all kind of plastic going down there. All kind of aluminum foils going down there. You got all kind of sharp objects, broken glass going down there. Pampers with doodle in them going down there. Bloody tampons going down there. Whatever you throw in your trash can is going down in these oceans. But then you got people who go to the beach and they wonder why these fishes are beaching themselves. Why do you think the fishes are beaching themselves? You so-called white people will go out to the beach and, oh my God, this is terrible. Look at this fish. It's got two heads with a straw in its nose. Who's responsible for that? Who is responsible for that? But then you'll say it ain't my fault. No, it is your fault. Your whole nation is accounted for that. Okay? You're supposed to burn the garbage, not dump it in the ocean. That's why back in the ancient world, there was a place called the Gehenna, where you would dump all the trash at and then burn it. But you're not even skillful to know that much. So because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, Queen Elizabeth, riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So guess what? The Edomites are fired, the Israelites are hired. So we'll have to weigh each applicant, the positive and the negative, in the balance before deciding who to hire. So it could be a couple of weeks before we make our decision, or our final decision. And no, the Lord has already made his final decision. Okay, this kingdom has been weighed in the balances, and the Lord have weighed this kingdom in the balances, and this kingdom is done for. I'm sick and tired of this kingdom, man. All kind of unrighteousness goes on here. And here it is. You got these people above us. They're doing all manner of wickedness, and yet they still get to live their happy lives. They still get to live a happy life. So, Lord's will, I'm going to remember that scripture. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 24, verse 1. Behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste. Yeah, the Lord did it by using the left-hand side, starting with the so-called elites, on down to the rest of the nation of people, and turneth it upside down. Right, Isaiah 29:16, right? Surely the turning of Esau's things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. Right, because Esau is the one who turned this world upside down, but the Lord used him to do it, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. Verse 2. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest. As with the servant, so with his master. As with the maid, so with her mistress. As with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower. As with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. Excuse me. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Lord hath spoken his word. And spiritually, this land is empty and utterly spoiled, because it has been demoralized to the point to where now you got niggas walking around with pink hair, a pink beard, pink goatee, a pink mustache, wearing pink shorts with some pink sandals. But who's responsible for all this demoralization? The Edomites. Let's move on. And that's starting with the so-called elites. You cannot run from the truth. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. Yeah, the whole earth is in mourning. Like I said, you got people protesting everywhere. You got riots everywhere. You got all kind of unrighteous decrees and legislations being passed everywhere. Why? Because the wicked is in rulership, and he know he had but a short time. The world languish and fadeth away. The haughty people of the earth do languish. Verse 5. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. So this whole earth is defiled because this devil done transgressed the law. He's transgressed every law in the scriptures. Instead of keeping a high holy day of the scriptures, right? He'll keep Christmas. He'll celebrate Christmas, He'll celebrate Halloween. He'll celebrate Thanksgiving, which Christmas is a compound word, which is two words, Christ and Mass, which means the massacre of the anointed. When you celebrate Christmas, you're celebrating the death of the Lord and Savior of the nation of Israel, whose name is Yahweh. Halloween, that's a super demonic holiday where people basically worship and give their offerings, which is candy, to demons, which also go back to the Druids and the Celtics down in Europe, who used to disguise themselves as demons to avoid so-called persecution from these demons. Okay, Thanksgiving is all about the celebration of when Christopher Columbus came over here and massacred the Taino Indians, which are the Puerto Ricans from the tribe of Ephraim, the so-called North American Indians from the tribe of Gad, which broke off into many different tribes, such as the Chickasaw, the Choctaws, the Cherokees, okay, the Wetfoots, and I'm pretty sure there's much more. Okay, and then you got the Mayans, which are the Guatemalans. Okay, they once used to live over here in America, but Esau pushed them down into South America. Okay, they were massacred. Okay, the Aztec Indians, which are the Mexicans from the tribe of Issachar. Okay, Guatemalans and the Panamanians are from the tribe of Zebulon. Okay, the Aztec Indians, which are the so-called Mexicans from the tribe of Issachar, they was massacred. They got pushed down into Mexico, and then they got called immigrants by their enemies, who taught them how to speak Spanish, which Spanish is a bastard language just like the English. So this devil done, but that's what Thanksgiving is about. It's about the massacring of the so-called natives of this land. Okay, the Seminole Indians from the tribe of Reuben. They got pushed down into the southern parts of America, such as Florida. Florida is just one of the states where Reuben live at, in the southern parts of America. The massacring of the so-called North American Indians, the Seminole Indians from the tribe of Reuben, the North American Indians from the tribe of Gad, the Aztec Indians, which are the so-called Mexicans from the tribe of Issachar. Okay, the Mayans, which are the Guatemalans from the tribe of Zebulon. Thanksgiving is all about the celebration of the massacring of these people, where the stuffing is supposed to represent the brain matter, the cranberries is supposed to represent the blood. Okay, and man, I forgot what else, but what other wicked holidays they keep? Easter. Okay, it's not the Easter of the Bible. Okay, their Easter basically, their Easter is about the worship of Ishtar, the so-called goddess of fertility and growth and prosperity. So every time you celebrate Easter, you're really worshiping Ishtar. Over here hunting eggs and shit. You're a grown ass dude hunting eggs, painted eggs. You got your children, hunting eggs and shit on Easter. Cooking all kind of eggs. You got candy laying around. And they love to talk about, the Easter bunny and eggs. Bunnies don't lay eggs. But when you dip your eggs in dye, you may not notice, but that really goes back to when the Babylonians used to dip their eggs in blood. But people don't know that. They used to dip their eggs in blood. So when you go around dipping your eggs in when you go around dipping your eggs in dye, you're really it's really symbolic for you dipping your eggs in blood, man. And then they got the 4th of July, which is supposed to be a representation of America's independence from Britain, and also the celebration of when we were taken out of power. So when you celebrate the 4th of July, you're basically celebrating our downfall. And then they got the nerve to put up Black History Month, where they're showing all these coons of which they set up to further put our people in the dark and to draw our people even further away from the Lord. Like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. You know? And I'm pretty sure there's more so-called black leaders that have failed our nation. And how come they call it Black History Month? The word black means filthy, dirty, void of light, wicked. So they're making a mockery of you. Then you got a bunch of dummies who are, oh my God, this is Black History Month, you know? Hey, we gotta commemorate the so-called white man for at least acknowledging our for you simpleton. Black History Month. And then they got the nerve to set up a Mother's Day and a Father's Day. You're supposed to always honor your mother and your father, like it tells you in Exodus the 20th chapter. So this devil done transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Verse 6. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Yeah, the curse have devoured the earth. That's why when you buy grapes, the biggest they get is about the size of an effing quarter. Back in the ancient world, grapes, a single grape used to be the size of a basketball or bigger. In the book of Numbers, it tells you that it took 2 strong men to carry a cluster of grapes. Now you could take like 4 or 5 cluster of grapes and put them in a bag and carry it with one hand. And back in the ancient world, men were much taller, more muscular, and were much more better in stature. And it took 2 strong men just to carry 1 cluster of grapes. So you could only imagine that strawberries were much bigger back then. Strawberries had to have been about the size of a volleyball. Bananas had to been nearly as tall as bananas had to be nearly as tall as a street light. Blackberries had to have been about the size of a softball or a baseball. And I'm talking about blueberry, really I meant blueberries. You know, blackberries could have been slightly bigger than a softball. But you see the point. You know the curse have devoured the earth when all you have to do is look at your food. It's so small. 1 grape is supposed to fill you up. That's how big grapes were back in the ancient world. But no, you can literally eat a whole entire bowl of grapes and still not be full. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned and few men left. With that I'm going to say shalom. It's on to the next one.